We heard earlier that especially CIMB, the biggest Malaysian Islamic bank, has launched within its asset management arm a platform for Islamic usage in Ireland. Maybe the next question might be one where we can address, especially to Dr. Rüdiger Litten, since he's mandated by certain Gulf investors who are interested to invest their money in certain structures of funds. Well, where do you see the differences between the markets? If we speak about Ireland and Luxembourg, and I mean we can include here our experts when we speak about Malta. But where do you see from your end the differences, especially between setting up a fund Sharia compliant in Luxembourg via UCITS, or how does it look like in Ireland? Where are the differences?
I think the most important feature of the UCITS is the European passport. And that has been further improved through UCITS 4. It is now as easy as ever to passport from whatever European country to all the other countries in a UCITS fund. So as far as this is concerned, there's no difference between Ireland, Luxembourg, or any other location within Europe. I think the differences are less of a legal type, but more of an economic and also more of a type, of cultural type. I mean, traditionally, Ireland has been home for the more Anglo-Saxon people, be it in the funds industry or be it in the bond industry in Luxembourg, or for the continent type. Luxembourg has always been very innovative for structures. Fonds commun, CCAF, you can do everything in Luxembourg, but Ireland as well. They are less rigid in the Saxon country as far as fonds is concerned. So if you ask me what's better for funds in general and for Islamic funds in particular, I couldn't really say that one jurisdiction is better than the other. I think what's really good news for all funds, for Islamic funds in particular, is the excellent passport that's provided throughout the European Union for funds.
Then it might be your turn to specify why we should go more for Malta. Then I mean now we come to that cultural and then the other kind of points that are important. But where do you would specifically mention again where is Malta strong on his side?
If you come to the content side of the things, in other words, looking at it from an ethical point of view or cultural or moral point of view, I don't think Malta is going to bring anything particular to the table. Malta is a country where religion has been applied for a very long time. We had the traditional Roman law rules against interest and excessive interest. We have a very debtor-friendly orientation in our law, which has typically requested the position of a debtor to be more certain. However, in the modern world, Malta has opened up a gaming industry which is, very strong in Europe. So I don't think the issue is too much in terms of the content. The important thing is that when it comes to a choice of an investor or a manager to set up a fund, the regulatory infrastructure permits the manager to promote a fund which is compliant with the Sharia principles, and there's nothing in our law which would undermine the implementation of those principles. Now, given that it has proven to be the fact that it is possible to combine both the UCITS restrictions together with the Sharia principles, then that is going to apply in Malta like in any other European jurisdiction as well. So there's nothing particularly positive on that point. There are other positives, like I mentioned before, like the cost, the speed, the language, these kind of things, the location, and so on.
Would you agree on taxation? Is Malta heading compared to other?
Well, usually funds are tax neutral, so you don't have an issue of taxation. There aren't any there aren't unexpected taxes stamp duties or some kind of unexpected import which the country imposes upon funds or investors, which would detract from the acceptability of the structure.
Okay. If we shift our discussion from discussing regions into the structure, certain jurisdictions or certain parties within the market sometimes say that the structure of usage is actually not very Islamic finance friendly. Is this something what you have heard before, what you have been seen, or what is your opinion on that?
I haven't officially heard this statement, so but I mean I would really say that the usage structure is unfriendly to Islamic finance as it is to any other ethical investment or any other kind of investment strategy which might not fit within the usage parameters. So it's unfriendly. I mean, unless the intention is to give a negative impression, you know, as to the interaction between Islamic finance and usage. I think there is nothing extraordinary in that statement, in the sense that it depends really on what the investment strategy is, because I mean, it's clear that it is perfectly possible to structure an Islamic Sharia compliant fund in a usage structure if obviously the investment strategy and the instruments and the investments would fit within the usage package. So of course there are challenges. I mean, there's no doubt about that, especially the dual compliance that one needs to ensure. It's also the fact, you know, the interaction between the board of directors, the investment manager, the Sharia advisory board, or the advisors. What kind of even legal relationship could exist, whether even practical issues such as audit. You know, I mean, do the auditors need to get an external auditor, Sharia auditor, to confirm, you know, whether it's Sharia compliant? There are also some particulars, you know, I mean, certain disclosures that need to be made in the prospectus, which means that there are challenges, yes. I mean, but they're not particular only to Islamic finance, but they're particular to any kind of different investment, ethical investment, socially responsible investments, you know. I mean, as was mentioned before, I mean, there was the APS ethical investment. I mean, during a conference recently, the difficulties or the challenges that exist were also highlighted. I mean, we're not talking about Islamic finance there. We're talking about, another kind of different investments. So, well, it is unfriendly, as I said. I mean, it's not something we can solely link to Islamic finance when we speak of usage.
The relation to this point is always in regards to having usage only for financial structures and usage not allowed for non-financial structures. So that was always the point where people sometimes say it's actually, since Islamic finance is always asset-based, it's not in that term friendly, but it's nothing proved in terms of any kind of research. So sometimes you hear that sounding in the market that people say usage might be not very convenient for an asset-based ethical structure than having only financial products inside. But as you mentioned, this is something which is not linked only to Islamic finance.